Greetings, fellow gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru.
And I'm Count Jackula.
And today we're going to be talking about a movie called Porno, which, despite its name, is not porno. It is actually a horror film made by Fangoria and a couple other studios about a group of Christian kids that end up unwittingly unleashing a succubus.
Yep. In a movie theater.
In a movie theater, yes.
In a movie theater.
Which is probably the weirdest part of the movie. Like, the Christian kid thing I totally got. The Christian kids, like the Christian movie theater thing was kind of weird. Like,
yeah.
I was like, is that a thing in some towns or something?
Well, I know that, like in my town, for example, like where I grew up, a lot of people just
were Christians.
Were fundies.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, so it's not completely out of bounds to imagine a place in America where, excuse me,
yeah,
the fucking movie theater is just run by this fundamentalist Christian who like makes everyone pray before they start the workday. And
like when we say Christian kids, we're not talking like just your average person in America, because most people in America are some level of like Christian or something and believe in some sort
this is more like the kid. This is a lot closer to the kids from Saved.
Yeah, it's way more fundamentalist. Like they're praying before they go to they go to work every day. They're praying for each other's sins all the time.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure all of them are virgins.
Yeah.
And they deal with struggles that are related to the fact that they are Christians too. But like that part was a little weird for me, just because.
For me too.
Because I was like, I get the Christian kid thing, but this feels like this like should be set in like a Christian camp more than a movie theater. But I also get that the movie only makes sense set in a movie theater. So.
Yeah. It's weird. It's like there is this part of the movie that's a little bit working against itself.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really odd. It doesn't quite ruin the film, but it definitely like drops it down a notch.
Yeah, it is an enjoyable, like straightforward horror movie. Like this isn't like this movie has no pretense about being about anything higher than what it is.
Yeah.
That being said, like there are some weird things like that for me with the movie.
Yeah, like I keep coming up with this comparison, but it's a comparison no one's gonna get.
Yeah.
Which is, all right, so in the annals of the previous night, a night of adventure where everything fucking goes wrong.
Yeah.
You've got a couple of titans. Mm-hmm. One is like Weird Science, mm-hmm. Adventures of Babysitting.
Oh yeah.
License to Drive.
Yeah.
You know, but then there was another one called like. It's called like What Happened Last Night or something like that.
I'll look it up and put the name right here.
Yeah, and it's like trying to be that same kind of movie, but it's not. This movie kind of has that same problem. Whereas there's this feeling of like you somehow didn't go all the way, and I don't know how, because there's plenty of blood and there's plenty of tits in the movie.
Yeah. This movie goes really far in many different ways, which is why it's weird that feeling is there, because like, okay, this movie is a movie in which you like just straight up see characters' dicks, and you see mangled dicks, because we're dealing with a succubus here, right?
Yeah.
So it's killing people in like hypersexual ways. Some people.
Yeah, some people, but some more than others.
Some more than others. So you get, like, and also because it's doing that, you get a whole lot of nudity, especially from the vampire and even from some of the male characters.
Yeah.
But like, and also it's an equal opportunity succubus. It will turn into a guy if you're a straight girl. So
yeah,
or if you're a gay guy.
Yeah. It's the whole like it's the whole shebang.
But even despite that, there is like this weird vibe for it, and like it kind of comes from like the weird disconnect from it being a bunch of Christian kids, and you simultaneously have this weird thing in the movie where the Christian kids are wrong, right?
Yeah.
Like that's part of the message of the movie, that they're wrong with a lot of their biases and ideas and all that stuff. But at the same time, the plot of the movie kind of makes them right.
Right, yeah. And they never really recant.
Yeah, and trying to like thread that needle, it comes into some problems narratively.
Yeah, it does. You know, like it felt like the natural place that the movie should have gone was where Psycho Gorman went.
Oh yeah.
Which is like, no, they're just all demons now, and now they're gonna destroy the town. Like that felt like that should have been the end of the movie.
Yeah, I can totally see that. But yeah, like despite that, I did enjoy a lot of this movie. Like, Some of the characters, like, despite them being, like, super Christians, I end up really, like, liking by the end of the movie. Like, there's one kid who's kind of struggling with his sexuality, who, like, at first I didn't really like him, but by the end of the movie I grew to like him. I also liked Heavy Metal Jeff.
Oh, the straight edge kid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I hate those people in real life. The straight edge hardcore kids are the most insufferable fucking groups of people in harsh and heavy metal style music. Even though they're hardcore kids, there's kind of crossover.
There's a lot of crossover.
There's crossover there. But like the character himself, I kind of grew to like because he had this weird sense of honor that was kind of endearing despite him being obnoxious.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. He had a thing he was trying to do.
Yeah.
You know, that made him an interesting character. Mm-hmm. You know?
And also the fact that he kept getting mad everyone called him Heavy Metal Jeff because he was a hardcore
Because he's
kid.
hardcore, man. It's not heavy metal, he's hardcore.
I like that. I like that a lot. Interestingly enough, like a character that I thought was going to be more likable actually turns out to be less likable, and that's the girl in the group.
Yeah.
Once you find out what she's done,
it's kind of hard to come back from that.
Yeah.
You know, it feels like, well, we didn't do anything about that.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have.
Yeah, like that's it. That part's so weird. I'll talk more about that when we get to the spoilers because, well, when we talk about the end of the movie, we can talk about some of like the conclusions the characters end up in. But that one was one of the weirder ones for me.
Yeah, like the biggest problem that this movie has is that it doesn't feel like it feels like the kind of movie where justice is going to get served, and then it kind of doesn't.
Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah,
it's weird, but it is good for the gore. And the monster effects are pretty cool. And also, if you just want to see a sexy succubus walking around being sexy,
you get
a lot of that
and shit. Yeah, that happens. One of the things I really liked was, so the succubus gets unleashed because she's trapped in like this film canister that's got like a satanic movie on it.
Yeah.
And the satanic movie is very obviously modeled off of the films of Kenneth Anger.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Like when it was actually showing the satanic movie, that those scenes were great because it 100% took me back to when I would find those old like videos from people like Kenneth Anger and watch them. And they kind of nailed it. They kind of nailed the look and feel. Oh, they completely did.
It's totally like the resurrection of my demon brother, inauguration of the Pleasure Dome kind of thing.
I also love like the exchange where it's just like, oh, shut off this porn filth, and the guy's like, it's art!
It's art!
There's some great like funny like quips between the characters in the movie that I thought was pretty fun. So yeah, I kind of have like a half recommendation for this movie. I think that most people will probably, if you don't try to think too hard about the weird implications of the story and just kind of take it at face value, you'll probably enjoy it.
Yeah, this is like, it's definitely like it's like a B-.
Yeah,
it's like a B- flick. Yeah.
But if you really think about the weird implications, it kind of comes at like a theological and like moral crossroads.
Yeah, it feels like there was a moral judgment that was supposed to happen but didn't.
Yeah.
You know.
And so with that said, I think it's probably close for us to actually talk about the spoilers. So the movie is currently available on a couple streaming platforms. We watched it on Shudder, and I highly recommend watching it on Shudder because Shudder is awesome. We're not sponsored by them, but I love the service. And with that said, let us move on to the spoilers so we could just talk about everything.
Okay, so some of the things that we can spoil is one of the movie theater itself is run by a guy who is a gigantic peeping Tom.
Yes.
Like, to the point where he's actually got, like, cameras pointed at, like, the fucking toilet seat.
This was actually my favorite subplot in the movie because it felt like the subplot in which the concept of the movie was taken to its most extreme.
Yes.
And I really appreciated that because you have this, like, super pious, like, I am Mr. Rogers of Christianity guy, but, like, also really judgmental of people based on their religion, who's trying to, like, lure all the kids to the light and all that shit. But then you find out that he actually has cameras set up in the bathroom and is recording women while they use the bathroom. And mind you, it's not just women, it's also everyone that's using those bathrooms, so children too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's recording them for his own sexual desires and purposes. So he's just a complete piece of shit, but he gets like the greatest comeuppance in this regard because like basically he ends up coming back to pick up the people and like checking the bathroom to see if the kids were in the bathroom or whatever, and the succubus ends up coming onto him, and he just, unlike all the kids, he doesn't even bother to fight the succubus. He just gives in, lets the succubus eat his ass, and then the succubus rips off his dick. It is the perfect just desserts, Tales from the Crypt.
Oh yeah, totally. And I thought that was going to be like a taste of things to come.
Yeah, I thought the movie was going to go in more that direction.
That's kind of like that sort of. It was that sort of theme's peak.
Yeah, and the thing, oh man, it's so weird because for some of the kids, their sins are a lot less severe than others. Like you have two kids where their thing is. One of the kids got in trouble for being a peeping Tom. And over the course of the story, you find out that no, he wasn't the peeping Tom. It was the other one who was the peeping Tom. One kid might just like looking at nudity in movies and stuff, but the other kid was actually spying on people.
Yeah.
Now that sin is bad, but I'm not sure if it's damnation worthy.
Well, I mean, you're not like, first of all, it's not kids.
Yeah, oh yeah, they're teenagers. That's
yeah.
true. They're teenagers.
Yeah, they are teenagers, and they're not like pedophiles or anything.
No.
So it's one of those. Yeah, you could This is one of those. Yeah, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that, kid. Don't fucking do that.
I'm fine with those guys learning that lesson and kind of walking away from it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. The kid who is just gay did nothing wrong.
Yeah, like there are a few times in the movie where he's a little bit of a prick, but like.
Yeah. But the reason why he's a prick mainly is because the girl keeps hitting on him and she's not taking the hint.
Yeah.
Like she keeps trying to get him to be with her, but she's not taking the hint.
Yeah, I was watching that and I was like, oh, okay, I see exactly what's going on here.
And so you end up with this weird thing where it's just like, well, it's still okay for him to be gay, even though demons and succubi are real, so our religion is 100% real. But wait, he also didn't do anything wrong, but the demon's still gonna punish him.
Yeah.
And so you end up with this weird fucking.
Yeah, it was that weird kind of like, what?
Well, you know what I needed?
What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do this?
I know that this gets cliche. I just needed a moment where like the succubus had some sort of rant about how she doesn't care who you are. She's here to kill people.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. Like this to demonstrate. It's like, oh wait, you thought this was about punishment? Oh no.
This isn't about punishment.
I just kill people.
This isn't about punishment or just desserts or anything like that. This is just I'm a succubus. I have sex and kill people. That's what I do.
That's my whole deal. Yeah.
No matter who you are.
Yeah.
But they don't really do that, so it ends up in this weird fucking like zone because you get like when you see what happens to the fucking the guy who runs the movie theater, it feels like it's okay. This is about just desserts. This is about
because the just desserts thing just fucking happened.
But then with some of the other characters, like. It's weird. It's weird.
Yeah. You don't exactly know why certain things happen. You have to guess, and sometimes that's not a problem. But in this one, it actually
all right. I'll give
back.
a weird fucking example. The person who probably has the greatest sin out of all of them is the girl.
Yeah.
While the boy is peeping Tom, that's bad. But the girl outing the gay guy to the town and the parents, leading to the gay guy getting sent to a gay conversion camp.
Yeah, that's pretty awful.
That's a way worse sin.
That's really awful. Yeah.
Like that's like you just fucking like ruined someone's life and basically put them in a fucking torture fucking scenario.
Yeah.
And also the fact that you knew about all this and continued to try to hit on him after all that. And then got mad at him for not reciprocating with you despite like it just feels like that sin is greater than all the other characters' sins.
We're compounding. So much is compounded in this one event.
Except for obviously the guy who runs the theater. He has the worst sin.
Oh
like,
yeah.
The fucking worst sin.
Yeah. But it is one of those like it's more personal because like we're watching her do it to a character who's on screen.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like something she
true.
did.
That's true. If
we just heard about.
If the characters had like the person they had peeped on was like her or something.
Yeah. That would have been.
That probably would have made it a little bit more personal.
Yeah. That would have. But because this is one of those.
They watched people having sex through an open window.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, which feels a little bit less bad than guy recording people going to the
bathroom. Yeah.
And like the implications of like children use that bathroom.
Yeah, but there is a little bit of like, well, these people are having sex right up against like an open fucking window where like, you know, her boobs are being pressed against the glass. How much privacy can you really expect?
yeah, exactly.
You know, like...
So I'm like, yeah, guy's beeping Tom. He should get some sort of punishment for that. But it just seems weird that the girl kind of walks away from this without really any punishment.
She doesn't really have like a moment. She admits it, but she never really has to do anything.
Yeah, she basically admits it and is like, I'm sorry, man, and all that stuff. And I'm like, oh, man, I feel like your situation's a little bit more than sorry. Like, I was peeping Tom, that's a sorry.
Yeah. Well, especially because, like, we actually get that moment with that character.
Yeah.
You know, where he's just sort of like, nah, it's okay, man. If it's just gonna be fucking hell, then I'm in, because I owe you. You fucking, you know, this was all my fault.
That was the other thing. I did like that the one guy's sin wasn't just that he was a peeping Tom, it's that he let the other kid take the rap for his sin.
Yeah.
Which kind of like compounded it, so like...
Yeah. And made it have to do something with the other kids.
But you also, like, you just end up in this weird scenario where you have all these kids that are worried that, like, oh, if they're into sex and they're into all these things, they're gonna go to hell and be damned, and then the movie's about a succubus going to kill them. Doesn't that, like, weirdly, like, prove them right? Unless you explicitly state that it's not that.
Yeah, you have to actually, like, kind of make this statement so that people aren't just kind of going, well, wait.
This is kind of this is a weird case where it's obvious the movie had a really cool idea and it ran with it and really wanted to have fun with it, and it does have fun with it, but it didn't think about the ramifications of the story because it didn't want to be a movie that thought too hard about that stuff.
Yeah.
But in this case, you kind of needed to, since you're kind of having people atone for some things.
Yeah. You know, if the movie's going to have some sort of atonement, then, which it does, then you got to go all the way with that. Yeah. You know, like, and it doesn't feel like, and here's the problem. It's to the point where we're actually kind of finding fault with the movie as opposed to the characters. Yeah. You know, because it feels like it's the movie's judgment that isn't that's completely clear, and it needed to be much clearer.
Like, the thing is that I don't necessarily have problems with the characters. Like, I judge the characters, obviously, because I'm like, oh, man, you let your friend take the rap for that?
Right,
like,
yeah.
And like, that
piece of shit.
Like, what the hell? Like, oh, man, you sent your friend to conversion camp, the guy that you were into, and then you kept on hitting on him? That's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, super fucked.
You know, or that fucking dude, fucking, obviously, the fucking manager guy can die. But but like I'm obviously judging them, but like as characters, like I grew to like as their friendships and their bonds form of the movie, I did find that endearing. I did kind of enjoy them. I just felt like the overall point of what was happening needed to be thought out more.
Yeah.
You know, and you could easily have just like circumvented all of that with like a lampshade moment of just having it be clear that the demon doesn't care who you are.
Yeah.
Or what you did.
Yeah. Well, like, there's this other, like, plot point that got really weird about the former owner of the theater.
Who was like a homeless guy, but they think he's like a crack addict. But like then it turns out he was the former owner and he's actually like trapped in the theater.
Yeah.
And like he's like he needs one of the kids, since they're Christian, like Bible thumping kids.
Virgins.
He needs them as virgin sacrifices so that I guess he can be with the demon forever, the succubus?
I guess, but I found myself going like, wait, if you've been trapped in this movie the whole time, how come you didn't find the fucking archive that the kids found the fucking canister in?
Because obviously he can touch things.
Yeah, he's not like a ghost.
He cuts off his own dick and he like slices up the kid that he deems the virgin. So like I don't know, that's a little weird. There's a lot of fridge moments in this movie.
Yeah. There are a lot of moments where you're just sort of like, I don't understand why this happened.
And I do feel bad that I'm ragging on it so much because there's a lot about the movie that I really appreciated. You know?
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, that sequence in which the succubus, like, oh, he just hit the light.
Hit the light, yeah.
Where the succubus, like, explodes Heavy Metal Jeff's balls.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that sequence just is fucking gold to me. Like, the like, Wild West, like, cutting back and forth, like, the good, the bad, and the ugly. The actual explosion of the balls, him screaming, "My nuts!" And then, like, actually, like, the gay kid trying to perform first aid on him, but like they actually show
when they take it off, you actually see his exploded nutsack. You're like, oh yeah, there's no coming back from that. I'm sorry, dude.
And he's like trying to like tourniquet the nuts, but there's nothing to tourniquet. So he just ends up like tourniqueting the dig, which makes things worse.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, this whole scene is working for me. It's working for me 100%. And there's a lot of moments in the movie throughout that. I just wish, as a whole, the kind of concept and themes of the movie were more well thought out.
Yeah. Like, for example, like, if this is gonna sound dumb, but if like the body count had also been higher, like if we'd actually gone like Night of the Demons with it.
That's actually a good point. Like, only the manager dies and the former owner guy
dies. Yeah.
Who's stuck in the theater. But I was confused whether he was supposed to be a ghost or not because he could touch things. But that was
I got the feeling he was alive.
Yeah.
You know, but it's really weird.
Those guys are the only ones that die. Everyone else makes it out, but they like get like dude's nuts explode. Another guy gets scratched up by the demon, and like
one of them gets possessed.
One of them gets possessed, which is that sequence I liked.
Yeah,
the sequence in which they go to the demon world and like their friend is possessed and going all Evil Dead on them.
Yeah,
that scene's a lot of fun. That seems like a total blast.
See, that's why I thought they were going to go like the ending of Psycho Gorman with it, where they're just going to burn the town down somehow. Yeah. And I'd just be like, okay, yeah, that'll work.
Yeah. Absolutely. I also just love how unapologetic the movie was with its blood and gore. I was just like, nah. Yeah. Like, it's weird because I do find myself going like, man, I wish I liked this movie more than I did. Yeah. You know, because it's not a worthless movie. It was like you said, it was a like B-, B+, B zone.
B-, yeah, B-, C+.
Like it could have easily have been an A movie or even a B+ movie with just a couple minor changes, you know. But I mean, if all you want is gore and tits, then I can definitely recommend it in that case. You'll get that.
Hey, if you're like, I want to feel like a 14-year-old again.
It's a movie that fulfills that desire. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, and are we already in the spoiler section?
Are we? I think we are. Yeah, because we're talking about like exploding nuts and shit.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
Like, yeah. Well, that's the other thing. There's so many things about this movie that are just kind of confusing that you kind of lose track of what the movie is.
It was a weird case where we like watched the movie like 2 nights ago, and when I first watched it, I didn't have as many problems with it. I still thought like the weird, convoluted message of the movie and the themes of the movie were kind of messy.
Yeah, let me put it this way. I was so distracted by that.
Yeah.
I forgot how much nudity and gore was in the movie.
Yeah, and there's a lot.
There's a lot. It's not like bullshit levels.
It's not called Porno for no reason.
Yeah. Like, you know, there's tits, there's bush, and there is just comedy blood spray out the wazoo, and yet the thing that my brain just can't let go of is like, wait, what? What's this movie trying to? Is this movie trying to say anything? Because I feel like it is.
Yeah, well, it's that weird case where, like, for most of the movie, I was like, okay, well, it seems like it is trying to say something. But then by the end of it, I'm like, oh, I guess it just wanted to be like a fun horror movie without saying anything too deep. The problem is that it brings up a lot of deep stuff.
Yeah, yeah, it does, and it feels like. And for the amount, let me put it this way, for the amount of nudity and gore that's in this movie, ending it kind of like The Gate kind of felt weird.
It is weird, yeah. Well, because, like, okay, so in these team kind of adventure horror movies, you always have the teens have their squabbles and they have to like deal with their issues, and then by the end of it, they're just like, oh, I'm sorry, man, or I'm I'm sorry I did that to you, I shouldn't have done that to you, or whatever. But usually it's just like normal teen drama shit, you know? It's like, you know, oh, like I shouldn't have been so hard on you. Oh, I shouldn't have I shouldn't have stolen your lunch money, or like, you know, it's shit like that. But in this movie, some of the things these people did is a little bit harsher.
Yeah. Like they could be entire movies in and of themselves. Yeah, you know.
And so, like, having, like, them treated with that same kind of, like, I'm just over it, water under the bridge, felt weird.
It did.
It's like, no, bitch, you sent me to gay conversion camp. That's not just a water under the bridge.
Yeah, well, it also, like, another thing that kind of, like, fucked me up is I didn't realize that one of the kids had a fucked up hand.
Oh, that's true, yeah. There's a kid who actually has, like a deformity with his hand. And I will admit, it is hard to tell at the beginning of the movie. There is, like, a scene in which, like, the succubus, like, sucks on the finger of that guy and, like, lets him go. But, like,
why did she do that?
I guess...
Not the sucking on the finger, I got that. I mean, like, why did she let him go?
I guess he's the virgin sacrifice? I don't know, because
But-
I wasn't sure if the guy and the demon were supposed to be working in tandem or not.
Yeah, because I'm like, okay, if you're gonna kill this guy because he's the virgin sacrifice, well, the succubus already just fucking encountered him. Why not kill him then?
Yeah. True.
You know, like that.
Maybe it needed to be part of the ritual. I don't know.
Well, like it was like usually if you do something like that, it's because they have to be a willing sacrifice.
Okay. I will say this. No, it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't, does it?
Because I was gonna say, like, I thought like the movie had this weird rule where if you actually do give in, she'll kill you. But the dude, the Heavy Metal Jeff, never gave in.
Yeah, he doesn't really give in.
Like, you could argue, like, oh, well, he came. Yeah, but so did the dude whose finger got sucked, and she didn't explode his nuts.
Yeah. So you don't know, like, what the rules are, but it feels like there should be rules.
And maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe if there was more clear established rules going on, it would make more sense, because then it's just like, okay.
Yeah, because it's not like with something like a Siren or the Amateur Night, where you're just sort of like, oh, well, what are the rules? Who fuck knows what the fucking rules are? That woman's just fucking shoot a dude's dick off, run.
Well, yeah,
you know,
thinking like some movies that are like, okay, they're very different movies, but like movies that like have like similar approaches. If you take something like Wishmaster, you have like a very clear rule that someone has to say something in the form of a wish, even if it's just them sarcastically saying something. Yeah, and he can do something to them. Yeah, based on that wish. You have a very clear rule set. You have Freddy Krueger. He attacks you in your dreams. You can pull things out of the dreams. And he can his effects in the dream will hurt you in the real world. Like, you have these very clear rules.
Yeah, you have to if you don't want to get killed by Jason, don't be anywhere near goddamn Crystal Lake.
And if you break the rules, it's an important plot point.
Yes.
You know. In this movie, you aren't quite clear what the succubus's rules are, other than she just seduces people and tries to kill them, except when she doesn't. So
yeah. So it's really hard to do. It's also really hard to do a 10 Little Indians style plot if not enough people die. Yeah.
Well, because like the other thing is like, okay, she sucks on his finger and then lets him go. Doesn't kill him. And it's like, okay, well, maybe at first as the story goes on and you find out that he wasn't actually the peeping Tom, it was the friend. You're like, oh, okay, so he's being let go.
Yeah,
because he didn't actually do the crime.
But is that it?
But then he becomes the virgin sacrifice later, and he becomes possessed.
Yeah, and you're like, well, what?
It's not following that rules, but you're not really. Okay, I recognize I'm overthinking the movie.
Well, that's the problem. Like, that's the problem. It doesn't feel like a movie that should require you to overthink it.
Yeah.
You know, like this is it's a horror movie called Porno.
Yeah.
Like there's a certain like if you're not look, no one's expecting you to fucking hit a home run out of the bleachers. Rounding the bases and bunting will do.
Yeah.
You know, but I feel like this movie was trying to be something that it wasn't.
Okay, here's a real simple thing that probably could have made this movie work for me a lot more.
Yeah.
If you had a character who really just tangibly followed all the rules of Christianity, like was completely pious, wasn't secretly a piece of shit.
Right.
It was like a true Mr. Rogers.
Right.
And the succubus kills her anyway.
Yeah, kills her or him anyway. Yeah. Because at that point you're like, oh shit, there are no rules, run.
Yeah. If you had that character and made that explicit plot point that the characters themselves note when it happens.
Yeah.
Then I probably could have just rolled with the rest of the movie and been like, okay, she's just killing everybody. It's now survive time.
Yeah.
You know,
that's the only thing now.
But it kind of wanted its cake and eating its. It wanted to have its cake and eat it too. It wanted to both have like this just desserts thing while also not necessarily proving the Christian kids right.
Yeah.
And so it ended up really messy.
Yeah, it did end up really messy because it doesn't also like prove them wrong either.
Yeah.
And that was like that's one of the things that kind of felt like.
Well, it doesn't really prove them wrong. Like, the gay kid gets fucking hacked to fucking pieces by that demon.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything wrong. You know?
Yeah.
And there's even that moment where it's just like, oh, you can't, if you nut, she's gonna kill you. And I'm like, yeah, but she didn't kill the other kid when he nutted, so.
So what was that?
Why is that all of a sudden the now?
It's one thing. It's weird because it's like it's one thing to have a monster that just does what it fucking wants, but
which is fine. If
you establish that, but then you have to establish what it is it fucking wants.
Yeah.
Which this one, you're just sort of like, okay, it's a succubus, it fucks you to death, and that's like all its character development.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, oh, it is in fact like the spirit of a scorned widow from the 1600s or anything.
And I also recognize that we're probably being a little harsher on the movie because this is totally a movie that should be in our wheelhouse. Even though
exactly.
Even
We're being a little more critical because we were expecting a very specific. Look, I was expecting this movie to jerk me off, suck me off, and then fucking offer me, a burrito. It didn't do that.
No. It gave you a decent lunch.
Yeah,
and you're not supposed to think too much about it afterwards.
And you're just sort of like, oh, well, I thought we were doing the whole. Oh, okay, I guess.
So I do recommend it on that level. It is not. Just don't think too hard about it, because if you do, you're gonna end up like us.
Yeah, you can be sitting there going, "Why?"
Just take it at face value, because that's really all you can take it.
Yeah.
And with that said, where can they find you, Camp Jackula?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Jack Satanwave. You can find me on Twitch at @count_Jackula, where I stream every Thursday and Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And you can also find me on Instagram at Satanic Jackula. Nailed it. Your turn.
Y'all know me. I'm the Horror Guru. You can find me at the Horror Guru on Twitter, on Twitch, on Facebook. Just look up the Horror Guru or Blood Splattered Cinema, and I'll be there. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so that you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. These videos do better the more engagement you give them, and the way you give that engagement is through commenting, is through liking, is through sharing the video. So be sure to share the video. So if you want to support the videos, then do any or all of those things. And speaking of support, if you'd like to help out either of us more directly, be sure to check out our Patreon pages. And remember, if you decide to go the Patreon route, even $1 a month can go a long way. And I have no idea why it is so hard for me to say directly sometimes.
Well, it's a very direct word.
I know.
So when you direct things, you have to direct it.
I can say, directly. Okay, directly. I can say it separately, but when I put it in a sentence, all of a sudden my mouth gets all jammed. Yeah, it's like weird. And with that all said, see you in the next vlog, my fellow gorehounds, whenever that is.
Dick. 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 Yup. 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 Nope. 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 Nope.